the rules are all made up. You can have, do, or be whatever you want. And the thing is healthy people naturally want to create really beautiful things. If you are looking to move forward in your life towards your authentic dreams without sacrificing your emotional health, your nervous system, your relationships, or your spiritual health, well, you are in good company. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Courtney Lancaster, and this is a safe space for creatives. This is the Heal Create podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Heal Create podcast, the first episode of 2025. I have been thinking about this episode for the past couple of weeks, being on break, because I have this whole ritual at the end of the year when a year is ending and a new one is beginning. There's this whole thing that I do, which I'll explain. But as I've been sort of inventorying my year 2024 and then dreaming into 2025, I've been thinking about you guys and thinking about what can I do to support you to begin your most empowering, grounding, authentic year ever. And I really do mean that. And I really do think it's possible to have that kind of year. And so I'm going to talk about how I want to do that. But what I do at the end of the year is I get these notebooks from Golden Coil. If you've ever looked up Golden Coil, they're basically notebooks where you can design your own planner. And it is like an old fashioned, like yearly planner, but they're beautiful, gorgeous, come in this gorgeous box, and you can put all of your information in it, and then you get to design how you want it all laid out, and you get to put whatever quotes you want. And I've been doing this now for like 5 years, and I should have like some kind of promo code or something, but I don't. I just am an actual user of them. And I go through a couple of things. My pictures from the year before. I go through my Instagram story posts, because that's like where I do the most engagement with people, is in my Instagram stories. Not as much as some people do, but a lot. I'll go through those from 2024, and then I'll go through my journal. So I get a blank Golden Coil that's just notebook paper, and then I get a planner. And then there's an option in when you're like designing your planner to put a year, like a year in review, basically, where you have a little blank section. It only takes 2 pages, but it's a blank section for each month. And so I'll write the highlights at the end of the month every year. At the end of each month, I'll write the highlights of that month in this little, in these 2 pages that I put into my yearly planner. Sorry, this is getting complicated, but I review that. I review the highlights. And it's not highlights as in like the most fun things that happen, but the most notable things that happen. It might even be just like internally, like big revelations or growth spurts or whatever, or big things that happened with my kids or my husband. And I'll review all of that and kind of ask myself questions about like, what was the biggest lesson for me here? What worked? What didn't work? These are also questions that I'm asking a lot in my friend group, and we're asking each other and talking it through. And I kind of have this ritual of like really going over my past year with total compassion, looking at what were some of the intentions that I started the year with. Did they work? Did they happen? What if they did, what did I do to make them happen? If they didn't, why not? And it's all just information, and it's really rewarding because at this point in my life, I'm just so committed to my life. I'm so obsessed with transformation and compassion and dreaming and moving towards dreams. Like that's just who I am now. I couldn't not do that. I couldn't not do that if I tried. Yeah. And I love this process of going over things because it shows me like where I've grown and what I can focus on next. And then I always order a new planner for the next year where I kind of dream into, what I want to work on. So what I hope will happen, all of my dreams, and then all of my like actual plans and practical steps, I kind of put in this one place. Doing that this year, there are some Patterns that I've noticed that aren't bad patterns, just patterns for growth that I was really grateful that I recognized this year. And what I mean by that is when I first started this journey of really realizing that like, oh, I get to design my own freaking life. No one else is going to do this for me. No one is coming. No one's going to rescue me from my pain and set me into this new life that I want. Well, then I got really interested in like self-development and spiritual development and growth. And it was bumpy. There were so many things that I did wrong. There were so many things that I focused on that I didn't need to. There was a lot of messiness. And this year was the first year where I really felt like, I mean, it was messy because of being a human is messy, but there were some really good things that I've gotten the hang of that I'm like, man, I wish I'm so grateful that I have this now at midlife. But I wish that I would have had this, 10 years ago. I wish I would have like known this 10 years ago. And it got me thinking about Aladdin. Not Aladdin the movie, but Aladdin the video game. Circa 1995. I was, 12 years old. Maybe, it might have been 1990, 96, maybe 97. I was living in Palm Springs and my brother and I had a Sega Genesis and we played the Aladdin like video game. I remember it very clearly. I could almost like hear the little like MIDI Aladdin songs. And we played this game so much. I wasn't a big video game player at all, but that was one that I played. Sonic the Hedgehog I played, which my kids just think is like, you were old enough to play the original Sonic? What? And then I don't know, like probably Mario, but I've never been a gamer, but I did play Aladdin. And my brother got this like video game magazine, I guess. And in this magazine, there was a cheat code for this video game. And I remember the cheat code. It was the button. There's an A button and a B button and then like a little toggle switch and like the direction switch and whatever. But basically you press the A and the B button in this pattern. A, B, B, A, B, B, A. And when you pressed these buttons in that order, it would skip you ahead like 5 or 6 levels. So we thought this was like the most magical magic trick ever. And anytime we would play this game, we would not play this game without doing this cheat code. And you couldn't enter it in from the very beginning. You had to like get to level 2 or 3 to even be able to enter this cheat code, which I kind of think is like an analogy for life. Like there is some brutal like wake up work that everybody has to do in the beginning of their own like journey home to themselves that like you can't skip. But I do believe that there are things that I can tell you now that for myself, if I would have known, would have saved me a lot of levels. It would have saved me a lot of mess. And Courtney Lynn Johnson was the first person that she's a business coach on Instagram that I love. And she has talked about like cheat codes for business. And I just thought that was cute and I didn't really think about it, but I was thinking for myself, what are some of the cheat codes that I wish I had? So I'm going to give you 5 cheat codes for 2025 to help you have the most empowering, authentic year and to help you move forward. These are cheat codes for skipping levels. These are cheat codes for moving forward. I actually ended up writing 11 of them down, but I'm only going to give you 5. The 5 most important ones. And I'll go into more of these topics as I go on. But these are the 5 that I really, really think that if you really implement them, I really think you're going to save some time and some pain. So I'll start with number 5. Number 5, the cheat codes. The cheat code for 2025, the first one I'm going to give you is this. The rules are all made up. Literally, the rules are all made up. You can have, do, or be whatever you want. And the thing is healthy people naturally want to create really beautiful things. So when you hear that the rules are all made up and you can do whatever you want, there's sometimes fear, especially from conservative people, religious people, maybe rule followers, perfectionists of like, wait, you can't just like do whatever you want. Well, I mean, you can't like be a monkey or like jump to space right now. You're right. You can't break the laws of gravity and physics, but in your life, the things that you dream about within the natural limitations of your human self and um, you know, what's actually possible in reality, you can become the person that you want to become. You can live, you can embody the kind of person that you want to become and create whatever kind of life you want. You really can. And what's amazing about this is like, gosh, people who used to get their messages out there, their music out there, used to have these gatekeepers, like record labels or like a ton of money or like, you know, publicists, or you had to have like a PhD to have anybody take your book seriously. And now like anybody can write a book. And what I think people are really onto is lived experience. So as far as those of you who want to actually make an impact in the world, your the things that you want to put out into the world will be more effective if you have lived them yourself. And there's a lot of connection in that. So, which I'm digressing, but the truth is like, there's really nothing holding you back from the dreams that you have. Like nothing that is like a lack of a permission slip or somebody pushing you down or limitations that you can't figure out a way around. Really understanding that like everything was made up by something, is I think something that's really almost too empowering. And I think like there's a quote, I think from Marianne Williamson, where she's like, we're not actually afraid of how weak we are or limited we are. We're actually afraid of how powerful we are, how much endless possibility. It's almost like too much to even take in. But just let that settle on you, that if you really knew anything was possible for you, I would hope that that would give you the tenacity to absolutely never, ever give up. Number 4, the cheat codes for 2025 to have a empowered and authentic 2025 where you actually move forward, you actually get to skip some levels, is refresh your vision often and get to the root of what you want. So when you are designing your life, this is, you guys already know by now, one of the ways that I help people clarify the direction that they want to go in is by asking themselves, what are 10 things that you would want to say are true about your life 10 years from now? It's a Rachel Hollis question. And a lot of people ask a different variation of that question. I just heard somebody talking about their charismatic church that they talked about like prophesying your year as if anything was possible. I'm like, yeah, this is like basically it's taking these temporary limitations off of your mind in order for you to think without parameters and dream without parameters. But when you're doing that, get to the root of what it is you actually want with each of those items. So for example, maybe your thing is you want a house, you want to write a book, you want to lose weight, you want a partner, whatever. All of those like objects or material things or destinations, what I want you to ask yourself after each one of those is, how is that going to make me feel when I get that thing? If I were to get that thing, how would it make me feel? That's the actual thing that you want. And what's keeping you from feeling that way right now? So for example, I had a client who really wanted to, lose weight. And that's a tricky subject that is obviously layered. It's very gray. and she felt like she had carried extra weight for a long time. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to lose weight. There really isn't. Obviously, we want to look at it from a few different factors. But if we're not really talking about the weight loss, because the weight loss is just it's just an outcome of your lifestyle and what you believe about yourself and how you eat, how you think about life, how you think about food and nourishment, nutrition. It's just an outcome. So how would you feel after you lost weight? I would feel confident. I would feel vibrant. I would feel like I could hold my head up high, and I would feel really good about myself. Okay, what's keeping you from feeling that way right now? And this is how your dreams will always point you to the areas of your life that you need to heal, because what kept her from that was some trauma that had occurred in her past that had made her feel like it was actually dangerous to act confidently. And knowing that, there's a reason why you don't have the things that you want. There's a reason why you don't feel like you can actually do the things that you want to do, will help you to identify the wounds that created the beliefs that keep you from having the things that you want or doing the things that you want to do. And so refresh your vision often. Really go over that 10-year list, or maybe it's even like, where do I see myself in 1 year if anything was possible. And then asking yourself, how would I feel if I actually had that thing? And then we focus on embodying those qualities. If it's you really want a home, you really want to own your own home. Well, how would you feel when you owned your own home? I would feel secure. I would feel protected. I would feel like I could have people over. I would feel like I could connect socially. Well, what keeps you from being or embodying those things right now? And that's where we find the wound. And obviously the work then is to show compassion to that part of ourselves and update that part of ourselves on what the truth is now. Really bring some resolve to those past memories or those beliefs that you have. That's the work that we're all invited to. In a lot of ways, it's lifelong work, but you absolutely can, and I have in a lot of ways, and so have a lot of people that I know, reconfigure, redesign your life to match who you are authentically underneath your wounding. But it really comes from identifying, like, what does each of the items on your list mean to you, to your heart? Number 3. This is something that, man, oh man, do I wish I would have known so long ago. Watch your dopamine. That might seem really random, but the truth is, dopamine is the chemical in your brain that gives you that feeling of wanting. It's the desire chemical. And it's the thing that moves you towards pleasure, towards seeking pleasure. It's not even the thing that helps you enjoy something when you get it. It's just the thing that drives you to get something. This topic of dopamine is something that was brought up it's a major part of this certification program that I'm in right now called the Fox Method, and it's emotional health for performers. But it's understanding that every time you hit the pleasure button, you have to think of it like a seesaw. Your brain is basically going to try and balance itself out with a little bit of boredom or a little bit of kind of like maybe yuck, icky feeling, like blah. Especially if you have like a big hit of pleasure, like you are performing on stage, or you just threw this huge party, or you just put out a book or whatever. Anytime that something really exciting happens, your body's going to recalibrate itself with like sort of a bleh feeling. It can even kind of make you feel like, maybe am I a loser? Do I suck? Like, and the reason why it's important to understand this is because maybe you've, heard this brought up kind of in the zeitgeist, but we are totally addicted to dopamine. So we can bypass that yuck, boredom, icky feeling by going on our phones. We can bypass that by eating sugar. We can bypass that by like watching something that's really stimulating, or even like through shopping or porn or whatever. And if we keep bypassing that, then what can happen is we sort of stop feeling at all. And we need more and more exciting things. We need to plan vacations. We need to like do thrilling, things. We need to keep scrolling, keep scrolling, keep scrolling. And the book that I read on this was called Dopamine Nation, and I wouldn't say it's a fun read, to be honest. But it's really important for you to understand, because for anyone trying to create anything, you really need to be in tune with the sensitivity of like, what's my next step forward? And if you are totally numb and dull because you are constantly hitting the pleasure button because you're so uncomfortable being bored, then you're going to lose that connection to your intuition. And your intuition is everything. It's the place where your spirit and the Holy Spirit are co-creating this beautiful life. So my number 3 is actually, the whole sentence is: embrace boredom, watch your dopamine. Give yourself chances to be bored, to feel blah, to feel insecure, knowing this is okay. I'm just had something exciting happen yesterday and I'm kind of rebalancing, or I just feel yuck and that's okay. And the question that I asked was, well, how do you know that that's not, a trauma response, like a dorsal response that you need to like help yourself get out of? And the reason, or the difference, is when you show yourself compassion and you do some of the trauma protocol, understanding your nervous system, and you're able to reorient. You do, I always talk about the NeuroFit app. Maybe you do the NeuroFit app and you do some of your exercises and you still just feel kind of like, blah. That's okay. Then that's probably an indication that your brain is needing a little bit of boredom, a little bit of blank space that feels kind of yucky. Don't make it mean that you are lost, that you're stuck, or anything like that. Just see if you experimented with this idea of letting yourself be bored a little bit more often. Like, don't put on music all the time. Don't put the TV on all the time. Like, just cook in silence. Go for a walk in silence. It's actually, I didn't realize how much I have noise on. I mean, my husband will tell you it is 24/7. My Spotify Wrapped this year was like embarrassing. And I do love music, and that's fine, and it's all like, it's part of who I am, but I literally never let myself have any free space. So once I started learning about this and letting myself have free space, I was amazed at how much balance it brought to my brain. And I already feel like I have a lot of nervous system capacity. I feel like I've understood myself. I have a lot of compassion. I have a lot of space for doing the work. But this was something else. It was like it was just space with no intention other than just to be. And it did feel kind of like yucky. But if you integrate just letting yourself have these, bored moments throughout your year, it's going to really, really help you. Number 2, understand your anxiety on a biological level. What I mean by that is, obviously there's anxiety and depression, and they are both protective states that you can be in. I think those that really struggle with like actual deep depression are usually on a different path. They might be looking into like, they're not usually the ones that find themselves here with me. Because the creatives that I mostly work with are, what they primarily struggle with is anxiety. And obviously I have a lot of space for people that struggle with depression. I myself have struggled with severe depression. I know that stage, and it's totally okay to be there. It's totally healable. The thing that I notice and I work with the most is people who struggle with anxiety and have what Ruby Rose Fox says, they wrap their identity around their anxiety. You are going to skip so many levels. You are literally going to save time just by letting yourself understand what anxiety actually is trying to do for you. It's like allergies. It's just an automatic response. And the thing that makes anxiety so much worse is when we try and make meaning around our anxiety. So this can be quicksand because your anxiety will shoot thoughts up to your head that match what they feel. I just actually noticed this myself when there was a point over Christmas break where, oh my gosh, I swear it was like for some reason this year, maybe because we live closer to my hometown now, I don't know. It was like a fire hose of activities. It was like an unending fire hose. I swear it was crazy. And there were so many things. And I remember just having one day where we didn't have anything planned and all the boys left and it was just me. And I was cooking and I was noticing these like weird intrusive thoughts. And this, I was kind of laughing because I'm like, oh my gosh, like my body is like, there's a lot of chaos going on. What the heck is happening? I know what intrusive thoughts are. I know they don't mean anything. They're just your body trying to make sense of they're your brain trying to make sense of what's happening in your body. Anxiety is literally just trying to get you to move. But when you believe your anxiety and you believe the thoughts that come up out of your anxiety, it reinforces your anxiety. And so this is why polyvagal theory is essential to understand. I would start with Our Polyvagal World by Seth and Stephen Porges. I actually had Seth Porges on my podcast last year. That would be an essential place to start if you have no idea. Sarah Baldwin, obviously, my own mentor, is incredible, and you can look up her podcast. She's really good at going into all of this. And if you can just take the time this year to be like, okay, I just want to be a scientist. I just want to be a detective, a researcher, and just really understand this and not take it so personally and not make so much meaning out of it, you are going to save so much time. And also, I believe, because this happened for me, just getting the education around anxiety soothed my anxiety so much. It helped me work with it so much. So, understanding your anxiety as a biological response, not based on reality, just based on history, that you can actually heal and soothe. Look into that. That will save you a lot of time. It'll help you skip some levels. The number one cheat code, you guys, I swear by this, is a concept that I never even considered actually until I started working with Laura Duncan in 2017. 2017. Wow. 8 years ago. And she introduced me to the concept of what she called blame-free living. My number one cheat code for your 2025 is check your blame. Radical responsibility. Radical responsibility. It sucks. It is also very humbling to know how often we want to blame people, how personally we take things, how deeply we let things hurt us because we are in a victim mindset, in a victim role. It's humbling. It is really humbling. Like, I still do it, of course. Like, even with like the people that I love the most. And the truth is, things trigger you because there's already a wound there that is your responsibility to heal. Otherwise, it wouldn't hurt. It wouldn't feel so personal. This is also, kind of a lifelong work. This is also something that is going to be a tool that you have for forever, and you're always going to be checking your blame. But something that I'll say to my clients is like, imagine that, I feel like I heard this somewhere, but I can't remember, but it was imagine that somebody said, I hate your blue hair. I hate your blue hair. And I'll ask my clients, what would you say? What would you say then if someone said, I hate your blue hair? And they all say, because none of them have blue hair, they all say, I would say, I don't have blue hair. I'm like, exactly. And what if they said, no, really, I really hate your blue hair? You'd be like, I mean, maybe there's something wrong with your With your eyesight, also, like, why do you hate blue hair so much? That's weird. But I don't have blue hair. It wouldn't hurt because there's no truth to it. There's nothing there to trigger you. There's no wound there. There's nothing personal about it. That person is just wrong. And you can think about that when you're taking something personally, when something is really hurting you. Gosh, especially understanding, like, again, from a biological standpoint, the reason why things hurt us is because we have a body that's wired to be in community for our survival. But there's literally so much community all around us, and we have access to so many people and so much connection. We're not in danger of isolation most of the time, unless we are a child or unless by our own doing. So just having compassion on, like, the reason why you're afraid of that judgment, or somebody talking about me, or they made me feel this way, or they did this to me. Like, it's biologically wired, but take responsibility for that yourself. And always ask yourself, what is this bringing up in me? I don't think any of my close friends even know how to talk to each other without being like, this is what this brought up in me. And you know what I mean? Like, we're not like, I can't believe you. I don't even think I've ever had that. I haven't had a conversation like that with somebody in a lot of years, because I think my close friends especially, we've all kind of grown up together, and we all recognize that everything is a mirror. Everything is teaching you something about you. So taking radical responsibility is like the most empowering thing that you can do, because anytime you notice this feeling of like helplessness or like defense, you are adding time to your healing journey. And that's okay. You have time. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think a lot of you would like to be moving. You want to be coasting through this, maybe not coasting, because there's a lot of bumpiness in this, but you want to be moving forward. And if you want to be moving forward, you're going to want to take radical responsibility for everything that triggers you. It is the only way. It's the only way. Anything else, just adding time, adding pain. Not to say that it's not painful to recognize how much wounding you're carrying, or how much you're taking things personally based on your wounding. That's very true, but that can also be really hurtful. But it's a good kind of pain. It's the kind of pain that's actually productive, because it invites our own curiosity and compassion, which allows us to heal. So ABB, AA, BBA, guys, skip some levels. And I say that with a lot of tongue in cheek, because we're all, of course, on our own path, moving at the exact pace that is right for each of us. Really, really, we are. And I don't mean this to cause any kind of franticness, as like, what if I'm not moving as fast as I can? That's not even a thing. It's literally not even a thing. What I'm saying is that the most I could ever say is that I myself can see that if I would have had these lessons embodied earlier in my journey, if I had learned this earlier, there are a lot of things that I do think that I could have bypassed. And the good news about that is that if there's something that you are not bypassing, that you have to learn the hard way, well, then you're just really going to know it. And that's not a bad thing either. I wish that you guys, I hope that you guys are able to start this year with a lot of hope, with a lot of inspiration, that you pay attention to what inspires you. And I hope that you stick around, because I'm really excited about how I can support you guys to just step into your true self and come home to you. Have a lovely night, and I'll talk to you soon.